If you are into movie-related discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am The Wiz! I'm going to talk a little briefly about the movie I'm going to be reviewing, and that is the movie My Fair Lady, starring Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison, directed by George Cukor. I just want to point out exactly what my feelings were before watching the movie. I've had someone who I have been talking to for a little bit recommend this movie to me, and I was like, yeah, all right, you know what, why not? I'll watch it this week. And I knew it was a comedy, and I knew it was a musical, so I was like, okay, you know, I'm into those things. And then I looked at the runtime, it was like 3 hours? Jesus Christ! Why is this 3 hours? It's ridiculous. But I already said I'm watching this movie, so that is like the one thing that I walked into like not really being too happy with. With that, I will get into the review of My Fair Lady, starring Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison, directed by George Cukor. Man, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. There are a couple of nagging issues, but I think this was a really entertaining, really fun, really good movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. I watched this last night after a long day, and since I already was like, I said I was going to see this, so I got to see it, and I didn't stop once. I never checked the time, which are usually signs of when a movie is going a little too long. It's when I check how much more of the movie is left. Never did that. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Again, there are few issues I have, but I think overall it's a great movie. And I'm going to start with performances because I think one of the best things about this movie is Rex Harrison. He plays the main male character, Henry Higgins, who is a phonetics professor who is incredibly arrogant and very conceited. But he plays this character in an incredibly entertaining and a hilarious way. It's a real balancing act to do this, because if he goes too hard in one direction, the misogynistic tendencies that he has will seem much more belligerent and much more harmful and disgusting. But he does it in this kind of charming and funny way. You say to yourself, that's terrible, but you also, that's kind of funny too. So I really enjoyed his performance. When he does his musical bits, it's not singing, it's talking with a soundtrack behind it, which actually was really well done. I was really surprised by that. I thought it was really good. And I see he won the Oscar for Best Actor that year. He deserved it. It was a really good performance. I thought he was so charming and hilarious in this movie. I really enjoyed his performance out of anybody in this movie, which is a surprise because I'm actually a fan of Audrey Hepburn. I actually really like her as an actress, and I liked her in this too, in the first half of the movie. In the second half, I kind of felt like the performance started getting duller and much less interesting. And I know that this movie is a remake of the play Pygmalion. You know what? Why don't I get into what the story is actually about? Henry Higgins, which is played by Rex Harrison, he makes a bet with a friend of his, Colonel Pinkerton, played by Wilfred Hyde-White, that he can turn Eliza Doolittle, who is Audrey Hepburn in this movie, who is a cockneyed, low-class, low-income flower girl, and turn her into a high-society woman without anyone knowing where she came from. And that's the conceit of the story, is that they train this girl that is from low means to perform and blend into high society. And the scenes that they do in this movie are incredibly entertaining, and there's some really good songs, and there is a lot of funny bits in the movie that I honestly thoroughly enjoyed. I thought the relationship between Rex Harrison's character and Audrey Hepburn's character was really good, and combative in some of the funniest ways, and just charming all around. I gotta state that when you hear what the movie is about and what the characters are like, it seems more like a dramatic thing. Well, it's from Pygmalion, so Pygmalion is a very dramatic play. I haven't watched Pygmalion in decades. I watched this in high school, well, parts of it in high school. So I remember bits and pieces of it, but like I really need to watch Pygmalion again after this. But they somehow morphed Pygmalion, which is a serious play, into this whimsical musical comedy, and it works incredibly well. I'm just stunned how well this works. I've known this movie is considered a favorite of many, but I was actually kind of surprised by how well this movie works. So let's get into writing. The movie is based off the play Pygmalion, like I just said. Pygmalion is a serious play, so to morph it from a very serious play into this musical comedy that's very whimsical had to have a lot of work to it, and it really works. In those cases, when they talk about the main plot line, it really works. However, there's sections of the movie that I think could have been cut. And I know that the sections that I'm talking about, which deals with Eliza's father, is in Pygmalion and is important in that play. But I think if they would have taken that out and fashioned that, and massaged that sequence to something else, or just get rid of it entirely, I think it would have worked a lot better. I think it slows the film down when Eliza's father is in the movie, and he's played by Stanley Holloway. Not only did I not really like the father and the character, I thought the actor was okay, but I just thought that he was an added complication that did not need to be there. Okay, that's like the only issue I have with the writing. Otherwise, everything seems very intelligently done. I find that even though the social commentary in the movie is fairly hidden, I still think that the main crust of Pygmalion is still there and does really well with it until the very end. And I will get with that with spoilers. Direction, I think the film is gorgeous. I think George Cukor's decision to just not even hide the roots of the play and just make it seem like a play that's being shot on a camera and really nice looking sets was a very good idea. I think the look of the film in certain areas, let's say in Henry Higgins' office, the horse races, the balls, I think they look spectacular. The movie itself looks really well done, like very colorful, colors pop in it really well. It is just a very visually appealing movie, and I actually really enjoyed the look of this film. All right, so let's get into spoilers for My Fair Lady, starring Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison, directed by George Cukor. If you have not seen it, come back when you are ready. I'll get the spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My two issues with the film are Audrey Hepburn's performance kind of goes a little stale in the second half of the film, and there's a good reason why, and I'll get into it. I think having Eliza's father in the movie doesn't really do much good with it. I think they could have taken that character right out, and it would have been just fine. So let's get into the Audrey Hepburn performance. So what happens is in the second half of the film, she starts to speak more high society. She starts to phonetically say words in the way that she needs to, which goes into, I think, one of the best songs of the movie, which is I Could Have Danced All Night. It's such a charming song. I like that song a lot. I really like Audrey Hepburn. I really like Roman Holiday. I thought she was not only adorable in that movie, but she was, oh God, just amazing in that movie. And she's great in movies like Charade and other movies. I have to see a lot of her other films, but everything I've seen her in, she's fantastic. I felt that in the second half, when she started doing more high society stuff, the performance went dull and kind of boring, but that might be the commentary of the film, where in the beginning she has this robust personality with this this obnoxious Cockney accent. The one thing that I said to myself when her character first started in the movie was, man, she looks adorable no matter how she looks. Like, when you meet her, she is in dirty, ragged clothes. She is got a dirty face, like really not great looking hair. And I'm looking at her and go, she still looks adorable. How does that work? Like, just some people have it, and Audrey Hepburn has it. But like in the first half, like her personality, the way she acts and everything, it is super charming, and I really liked her in that mode. Once she went from that to high society girl, the personality just drains and drains and drains, and her performance becomes less and less charismatic. Now, some of you might also say, well, that's kind of the point, because these personalities being sapped right out of her when she's turning into a high society girl. It's a play on what the theme is of the movie, which I do get that, but a mark of a great actor is that they can still do that while transforming that character. So in that end, I understand, and I do think it's a good performance, but I really liked Audrey Hepburn more in her Cockney accent and her attitude than as a high society girl. Again, that might just be the entire point. You want to call that out? That's fine, and I understand that too. I think it was kind of a disappointment that her performance kind of went downhill as the movie goes. The second thing that I had an issue with, I had three things I had an issue with. So the second thing is Eliza's father. His songs are fine. I thought I think the song is called With a Little Bit. I thought that was a cute song, but his character is entirely throwaway in this movie. As his character started coming back on and off, I just was like, he's not really necessary. The movie has a good cadence and a good feel to it, even with how long it is, that it just works the way it is, keeping with these three characters, which is Higgins, Eliza, and Pinkerton. Or is it Pinkerton? Oh my God. It's Pickering. Oh my God. The movie works really well when it involves Higgins, Eliza, and Pickering. Like, those three are the movie to me, and they're fantastic in this movie. When it goes into a side thing with the father, I think it really slows the movie down, and I can understand to why the father is probably in Pygmalion. I just don't think it really works in this movie. If they would have just taken that character out and did a throwaway line, oh, he's a drunk and he's not in my life. Like, I think that would have worked a lot better. Unfortunately, they put that in there. I don't think it hurts the film that much, but it's definitely a sticking point with me. The final thing that I had a problem with in this movie, and it's kind of a big one, I don't understand why Eliza went back to Professor Higgins. At the end of the movie, what happens is she gets fed up with how she is treated by Higgins and Pinkerton, and she runs away. In the final act of the film, what happens is that she ends up in Mrs. Higgins' house, and she talks about the treatment that she got from Professor Higgins and Pickering, and the mother backs her up, and she's about to get married to another character in the film that was introduced halfway through the film. And what happens is they confront each other. She says how much she doesn't like being treated by him. He goes on his rants where he's like, I don't need another woman. That's not me. I don't do that. And you're going to be fine. You'll find a way to do X, Y, and Z. You should just get married, stuff like that, like really insensitive things. And then they go their separate ways. And Henry Higgins goes back home, and he has this wistful kind of, I actually miss her. I really miss her not saying good morning to me or not hearing her voice. I'm going to miss her. And he becomes despondent. And right there would have been the best way to end the movie. What happens is he puts on a phonograph of her talking, and he sits down and he looks disheveled and beat up like, what have I done? And then suddenly Eliza appears, and then that's it. Like, and then there's a quippy line, and then that's it. It's said that they're back together again. I think that kind of hurts the character of Eliza, because when the scene happened where she said, I don't want nothing to do with you anymore because you disrespect me, and he does nothing but still disrespect her, I was like, good for you. You shouldn't have to deal with that. And then she just comes back for no apparent reason? Why? That makes no sense. Like, I think that actually kind of hurts the character at the end. I don't like that ending very much, but it's weird. It's like 30 seconds of the last bit of the film, but it hurts that character so much that I can't really wrestle myself around it. I know that's the style of the time where the studios wanted the main characters to make up in the end or to be together in the end in a romantic movie. So that's a trope. I get that, but it still hurts that character. The person I was talking to about this last night, who recommended this film to me, they said that that's not what happens in the play. And I think they're right. I don't think that happened in the play either. And I think that would have been a better way to end the film. It made Eliza a much better character. Henry Higgins finally gets his comeuppance. He finally realizes he was wrong. And that would have been a perfect way to end the film. But now that he has her back, the type of character he is, he won't learn a damn thing. So I just thought that was a bad way to end the movie. But yeah, it's strange. I don't like that ending, but I don't think it will hurt my rating of the film. I really think that could have ended about a minute sooner. Okay, so my final thoughts on My Fair Lady. I think this is a great movie. I am actually kind of stunned how much I like this movie. I looked at this movie being 3 hours and going, oh my god, this is going to be a slog. It wasn't. It was such a good time. The music is great. The performances of Rex Harrison and Audrey Hepburn in this first half of the film are great. Rex Harrison is excellent in this movie. One of the best performances I have seen in a musical. Even though he doesn't sing, he is really good in this movie. The direction is really good. I think the way that they implemented Pygmalion from a very serious movie or a very serious story to this comedic musical, I think was really well done. I'm very surprised by that. I had a few issues with the writing. I think the father could have been taken right out, and with the last part of the ending. And I think Audrey Hepburn's performance kind of dulls as the movie goes forward. Until the end, where I think she actually is pretty good. I'm going to give this 4 stars out of 5. I think this is a really good movie. I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun watching. It was a good time. I laughed. I thought the music was good. Oh, God, I still could have danced all night in my head since I was watching that movie. It's such a good song. So 4 stars out of 5 for My Fair Lady. I really enjoyed this movie, and if you have not seen it and you like musicals, I highly recommend it. But I'm going to guess that a lot of you who like musicals have watched this movie already and wondering what took you so fucking long. Yeah, I know. Get off my back. 4 stars out of 5 for My Fair Lady. Okay, so we have a theme going next week, and we are deciding to watch movies based on video game properties. And I have chosen for myself a movie I have been interested in watching. Not terribly interested, but I'm curious as to how good it actually is. Zero and I are going to do the Super Mario Brothers movie on Tuesday. I have something for Kim on Saturday, and I think I'm going to be nice to her on that one. I was going to be mean and give her something really terrible, but I think I'm going to be nice to her. I am going to watch the 2019 adventure fantasy film Pokemon Detective Pikachu, starring Ryan Reynolds and Justice Smith. I was interested in this movie. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been playing video games for a long time. I'm a big gamer. I love video games. Now I have a love-hate relationship with Pokemon, but I used to love the Pokemon games. I thought they were so much fun. When I played it on the Game Boy, I was instantly hooked. And I think it's really the first RPG that I really got into. After that, I played other RPGs like Final Fantasy VI, stuff like that. I really enjoyed Pokemon a lot. And I still do, even though the last one I really played through was Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I did not enjoy what I was playing. We'll end the talk about video games there. Tune in next week where I review Pokemon Detective Pikachu, starring Justice Smith and Ryan Reynolds. I am The Wiz, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.